I'm going to tell you, I go where no man has gone before. And what we're going to look at today is German propaganda archives. It's pretty interesting when you look at this site. I've read it. I've read, I don't know how many speeches and pamphlets and booklets and everything from this site that has been translated from the Nazis and from Hitler. A lot of this is what's in here. It is amazing. If you want to know, it's all been translated into English. If you want to know what the German side of the war was, because we hear one side and one side only. It's like the moon, where we only get to see one side of the moon, but we don't really get to see all of the moon, do we? And the same thing when it comes to the Germans. We hear one side and one side only. And when I was reading through these archives about a year ago, something that really stuck out to me is a lot of things, because I'm one of those people that I look at a lot of conspiracies, and I have for a long time. And I started to see this shift happening, like many of you have. Something weird's happening, something crazy. There's, our schools are betraying us, our governments are betraying us. There's some really shady shit going on all the time lately. It's just, and it's not just your country or my country, it's the whole world. Something really, really weird is happening. But with what's happening in Palestine today, this is where you got to go back here, because this is where everybody is saying, the Germans did this to them. And then and bad on the Germans, horrible on the Germans. We must hate Germans because those 6 million were killed. And it's interesting. That's another rabbit hole that you got to go down. They have been killed. 6 million of them have been killed at least 2 other times, where it was put in paper, First World War, and then earlier than that as well. I can't remember what date the third one was. But there has been time in print where they have been killed 6 million at a time. So that's just another rabbit hole, guys. But these speeches, and not only this, but this, Europa, The Last Stand, and you must watch it on BitChute. Do not watch the one that they have on YouTube. That one uses part of it, but twists it. It has been a propaganda piece to this piece. This one is taking out of the archives. It is, I think, 11 or 12 hours, and it is got speeches and everything like that, all translated. It's really done well. It's quite, me and my husband watched the whole thing, I think, on one weekend about a year ago. It will shock you what the other side of it is all about. So going through these archives, and on my channel, you'll see that I did another video on the CIA documents, talking about Europe before the Second World War, and how these people had destroyed their culture and killed a lot of them and took away their religion. So go back and find that video if it's very worth your while to listen to that story too. And so these archives go into, it's very interesting because it's a parallel of what's happening all around the world today. Everything that's happening today, the Germans, in their writing, what was supposed to be a lie, propaganda, are saying the exact same things, that the people were going in the school systems, they were changing the ideology, they were the actors. Look at this. Look at this. If this will open up. No, it doesn't want to open it up. Oh, there we go. They said that they were all the actors and writing all of the books and the book burnings that they were doing was pornography, and that they had gotten into the school systems and they were doing this homosexual ideology and transgender ideology. I mean, it's in all of those archives that were written from 1933 to the end of the war. And look at these are all of them. Look at the name on here. This is, do you see that? I don't want to say the word too many times, I'll get flagged. But you can go and look at that yourself. This goes on, I think there's like 500 and, I'm sorry, there's like 560 or something like that pages of them all being of this same ideology. And so anyways, I'm reading through this and what's happening in Palestine, the way the Palestinians have been treated, and we're hearing the horrendous way that they've been corralled and put into like a 15-minute city into a concentration camp for like 70 years. We're hearing all the atrocities that we never heard before. What Israel has been doing to these people. Like, it's just monstrous what's been happening. But when I'm reading through the archives, it's the same thing. The archives, just give me a second. Let's go back to them. Sorry, I am. Here, this is another great site. The archives talk about all of these things were happening to the German society. And then there was massacres. And it talked about how not the Germans were putting people in concentration camps. Not that they didn't at the end, because we know they did. You can't deny that. You just can't deny that. But it was the other way around. It was the ones that were all over in Europe, and they were being slaughtered. And we know that. We know that that happened up to 65 million Europeans during that time. But this is talking about all the things that Germans are accused of, that we know that the Jews are doing now to the Palestinians. These archives are saying that's what they were doing to the Europeans, and that's why they got kicked out and they got rounded up. And during that time, they got kicked out of like 160 some other countries because they were doing this invasion of the government's school systems, all of the different medical and changing the medical and stuff. If you're doing any research, you'll know that they do own all of the things that we're talking about. But anyways, just something for you guys to go and look. Maybe, just maybe, truth and justice for German society might be coming, because maybe they weren't the villains in the first place. I don't know.